Bright sunshine, a warm, muggy afternoon in Chicago. And another big crowd rolling into historic Wrigley Field. Rubber game of this three-game series. Reds took the opener on Monday night. Cubs rallied late to win by a run last night. So here we go today in Game 3. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. And, you know, we used to say the same thing about Johnny Cueto, and I'm certainly not comparing the two. But at this point in the season, there's a little more bounce in your step when you know Raisel Iglesias is taking the ball.
Well, there is, and the other thing that he has in common with Johnny Cueto is the fact that he's not getting very many runs in support. Cueto always seemed to pitch on the wrong day. Iglesias the same way, but it has not deterred him at all. I mean, in the last two starts, he has recorded 23 strikeouts, only 5 bases on balls. I mean, his fastball's been up around 94. He's got a good breaking ball. The changeup effective against lefties. The full package right here, folks, at age 25. You're looking at a guy who's really got some tremendous upside.
As we turn the calendar to September, you look where he ranked in the National League in critical areas during the month of August, and his catcher, fellow Cuban Brian Pena, has impressed as the rest of us.
I always knew that he got something special, but I didn't know that would be developed as soon as he has been. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's got everything to become an ace. You know, probably a lot of people will go like, "Oh, it's too early. You know, don't jump in the country yet," and stuff like that. But man, his stuff is electrified. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that he really. He really know what he's doing out there. You know, he really like to compete. He really like to, to win games. For him, it's not about just going out there and going through the process. You know what I mean? He wants to make the process happen.
Well, the process continues here today. He'll be opposed by a guy having a real nice year, not necessarily looking to win-loss category, how much he can control that. You know, you got to watch him every start, but Jason Hamill's having a pretty good year.
Well, under the radar, very nice year, yes, indeed. He's had a couple of starts against the Reds, got a no decision in each of them. 25 starts overall, right around 500. He's a guy that, with his pitching staff, the way that Joe Madden likes to go to the bullpen, you may imagine he'll only be out there for 5 or 6 innings, especially on a warm, humid day here at Wrigley Field today.
All right, when we return, Jim Day's been spending a lot of time around the hottest guy in all of baseball. Maybe you call Jim Day a front runner. He's been hanging with Joey. And he'll have more on Votto and his run of late when we return.
Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy, check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Wrigley Field in Chicago. Hot, steamy one here at the friendly confines. Rubber game of a 3-game set. Joey Votto, he has been, well, I don't use the word incredible very often, but he has been incredible since the All-Star break. You look at the numbers, and he's hitting at a 399 clip, just below 400 since the All-Star break. 581 on-base percentage, 739 slugging percentage, all first in the National League. 55 hits, 14 doubles, 11 home runs, and 59 walks. He has been an on-base machine, and if guys were hitting behind him, man, it would be even more impressive. But check out our IGS Bringing the Energy. He's the highest on-base percentage in the second half of a season, And look at the names that Joey Votto is amongst. Now, granted, he still has 30-some games left in this season. But the only names besides Bonds, Williams, and Babe Ruth on that list, well, it's one name. It's Joey Votto. 581 on-base percentage. He is amongst the greatest to have ever played this game, and this second half is of historic proportions. Can he finish it out on that list? A lot of hope so. The Reds hope so. And they certainly hope he gets it today. Now, Don Long, the hitting coach for Cincinnati, has been working closely with Votto and has been impressed and fun to watch for him.
The expectation when he goes to the plate is something good's going to happen. It may be a walk or a hard hit ball or something, but he's been unbelievably consistent. You know, he's consistent with his approach. He's consistent with what he swings at. You know, you saw it the other night, first and second, and intentionally walking him to get to Brandon, who came through, and you don't see that happen very often.
You certainly don't. We'll see how it shakes out today. Rubber game of a 3-game set.
Just about 4 or 5 blocks off of Lake Michigan. Let's take a look at the Reds starting lineup tonight. The Reds come in at 54 up, 77 down. It's presented by Meyer. Gorgeous, as Chris told Pat Hughes yesterday, we prefer to call him Jason Bourgeois. Jay Bruce is in right field. Joey Votto at first. Brandon in the cleanup spot. Todd Frazier at third. Brian Pena catching. Suarez homered here last night. He's at short. Schumacher the nod in left field. Iglesias on the mound. Jason Hamill is 26 start. 142 innings so far this year.
Well, our opening pitch note from Ethan Cooperson, our statistician up here at Wrigley Field, is that in this series so far, both games, the team scoring first went on to lose. Jason Hamill, start number 25 of the 2015 season, 213 starts in his major league career. He's at exactly 10 games under 500 at 66 and 76 when you add them all up.
All right, here we go. Jason Bourgeois to lead things off. He shows bunt, takes high, ball one. We are underway. Manny Gonzalez, the umpire behind home plate. Jim Reynolds at first, Paul Schreiber at second. Fielding Colbert is a crew chief. He's over at third. And a high fly ball in a deep left field out by the well, and that's gone. A leadoff home run, number 2 on the year by Bourgeois. And we figure to see more of that today on a very hot and now all of a sudden somewhat windy day with the wind blowing out towards left center field.
Well, forget that opening note that I read you just a moment ago, folks. Maybe it will not happen today. Well, Hamill's, he gave the elevation to Bourgeois, and Bourgeois just put the power of the sweet spot on it. And it looked like it was a ball that was going to die around the warning track and ends up going into the second row.
This one's in the air down the left field line off the bat of Jay Bruce. And what a nice catch for the second game in a row in foul ground by Coghlan. He made a play in right field last night and left field in the opening inning today.
Well, that wind that you were talking about, Tom, I think it held that ball up from going into the stands, because normally coming off the bat of a left-hander, it's really going to slice. Guy's a nice player, and you can stick him just about anywhere.
Alrighty, here's Joey Votto. Jim Day just talked about him at length after talking to him at length and about this recent tear that Votto has been on. It's just mind-boggling. You figure law of averages would tell you that this guy is going to cool down sooner or later. It just does not happen and has not happened. He walked 38 times in August, the most ever in Reds history for any calendar month. And the most since Barry Bonds walked 40 times in September of 2004. Since the All-Star break, leads the major leagues in batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and walks. And last night, no different. 2 for 3, 2 runs batted in, a double, a home run, and a walk. His only out was a line drive caught in left field in the 8th inning by Denorfield. Speaking of Jim Day, that one almost bounced right by him. I think Billy Hatcher's giving him an earful down there.
Oh, it's the other way around, Tom. He got on me the other night because I didn't catch a line drive that came humming right by my head.
Right.
And so I just gave him grief. Like, come on, Hatch. I mean, that one was smoke, though, more than the one that went by me. But Still had to give the grief back to him.
Hamill waiting on Votto to get in the box. Takes a couple of practice swings before this 3-2 pitch with one in and one out here in the first inning. He took a hack there and fouled it back. Swinging Votto. 2-away in the inning. Cubs made some changes right before the game. When Kyle Schwarber was scratched because of some tenderness in his wrist. Their defense presented by Ford. Coghlan was the original starter in right. They moved him to left in place of Schwarber. And Austin Jackson, just acquired in a trade from Seattle, makes his first start as a Cub. A home run by Bourgeois, 2 in a row retired by Hamill, and here's Brandon Phillips. 285 batter, 10 home runs, 52 runs batted in. Phillips picked up his 20th stolen base of the year last night. Lays through that one, a ball and a strike. For Hamill, his 43rd career start with the Cubs today. Returned to the Cubs this year after beginning last season here in Chicago. Was traded to Oakland on July the 5th. Threw very well for the Cubs last season, an ERA that started with a number 2. Lined at La Stella to end the inning. But Bourgeois gets it started in the right way. A home run to the bleachers and left, and a 1-0 Reds lead. To an early 1-0 lead before Raisel even throws a pitch. Joe Maddon's team 75 up, 56 down, the leaders for the second and final wild card spot in the National League. This lineup has Fowler, Coghlan, Bryant, Rizzo, Montero, Jackson, Madison Russell, the pitcher Hamill, and Tommy La Stella. Raisel Iglesias now his first start in September, Chris, after a marvelous August.
Well, he really has had a tremendous August, especially the last couple of starts where he has become a strikeout machine. He struck out 23 batters total between the last 2 starts. 13 in one game, 10 in the other. 3-6 on the year. Earned run average coming down little by little. And a young man that has just gotten better and better as the season has gone on, mainly because his control has gotten a little bit better. And he's just getting a better feel for pitching here at the big league level.
Pulled foul by Dexter Fowler. In 6 starts in the month of August, Iglesias had a record of 2-3, but an ERA of 2.27. Opponents hit 148 against Iglesias, and they scored a total of 9 runs in his 6 games over the month. He went no fewer than 6, went as many as 7. Has not allowed more than 4 hits in a game since July. And only twice in the 6 starts has he given up 3 runs. Everything else 2-1 or zippo. It was interesting after the game last night, comments made by Anthony DeSclafani where he said that due to the extreme heat and humidity down there on the field in the 6th inning, he started suffering from cramps in his legs and in his calves as Iglesias is gone. Didn't want to tell anybody, didn't want to come out of the game. And I would imagine being especially well hydrated today during the daylight hours, Chris, is so imperative for all the players, especially those on the mound.
You're not kidding about that. Remember the old salt pills they used to give out when we were young kids? I wonder whatever happened to those.
I think they figured out it wasn't such a great idea.
Maybe not.
It was a really bad idea.
We used to eat them like candy.
I know.
We're still alive. Semi.
Depends what inning it's in.
It went by the way of the freeze spray. You don't see that anymore either. We could use a big bottle of that up here today.
Right, we'll have it pumping through a machine. Two and oh to count on Coghlan. 249 batteries. Had some pop in that bat. Has 26 doubles, 15 home runs. And the 2-0 from Raisel. Swung on and fouled out of play. Coghlan had that lengthy at bat last night in that 6th inning, where DeStefani retired the first batter. He'd been allowed a single. No big deal. He had a 2-run lead. But then Coghlan had a 9-pitch at bat, ultimately walking. And then 1 out later, 2 out run scoring singles by Bryant and Montero to tie the game. For Willis, the Reds would then take the lead the next half inning on a home run by Suarez. But Berg Baden up for the first time in almost 50 innings allowed a home run to the Cincinnati kid, Kyle Schwarber. Baden up has pitched so well for such an extended period of time. Gone swinging. Coghlan, so Iglesias is picked right up where he left off in these last 2 starts. Strikeouts.
Well, there's something special about kids that have that swing and miss stuff.
The defense for the Reds brought to you by Ford. Schumacher the not out in left field. Everybody else the same. And I guess technically this is the starter behind the plate last night was Barnum, so I beg your pardon. Pena and Iglesias certainly seem to have a good thing going and getting better and better by the start. One 1-0 to Chris Bryant. Bryant did not hit the ball hard at all last night, and he'd be the first to say, in fact, he did after the game. But it was one of those nights where he made contact and it fell in. 3 for 3, 3 singles, 2 runs batted in. And what a rookie year this guy's having. I mean, you bring a guy to the big leagues, you know, and it doesn't matter how highly touted you are or not. Once you get here, your batting average starts at .000 like everybody else. And you have to go out and do it and earn it. In 122 games, this guy has knocked in 82 runs. He has 48 extra base hits. Now, he struck out a lot. He's also had a lot of big base hits for a team that looks like it's going to the playoffs and wouldn't be going without him. 2-2 delivery. This will stay in the yard. Schumacher for the final out. 1-2-3 go the Cubbies. End of 1. Reds in front 1-0. And a lot of older stuff too.
Older than the Doobie Brothers and Van Halen?
Absolutely. We've heard some Beatles, heard some Rolling Stones. We've even heard some 1950s rock and roll in between innings here. Way up and moving around a little bit. A high pop-up off the bat of Frazier. And he's retired on the second pitch of the second inning. Reds leading 1-0. And here comes Brian Pena. Pena didn't have much time to get back into the dugout, take all his catcher's gears off. And Frazier swung at the second pitch in the at-bat. Strike called by Pena. 0-1. Line at 274 without a home run this year. 16 runs batted in. Pretty good looking fastball right there, but off the outside corner. Apparently, so says Manny Gonzalez. Did you fail to mention, or had you mentioned already, and I missed it, that today Hamill is celebrating a birthday?
I did not mention
his
that.
33rd today out there on the mound. Maybe he'll win on his birthday next year. As the season has gone on, you look at the big picture of Hamill's numbers, and there certainly are a lot of the numbers to like. The league hitting .234 against him. That ball is lined hard into right field, and it's up against the ivy. Pena coming into second base, and he will slide in there with a one-out double.
Well, Austin Jackson, the last-minute replacement in right field, gets tested early on. Boy, you can see the way that Brian Payne just brought that bat in to try to get the bat head on it, and he did. This is that weird configuration in the outfield here at Wrigley Field. If you hit it a little bit more towards left or right center field, you've got a chance to hit that ball out of here. The more you pull it, the more you have to hit it.
And there's a strike to Suarez. League is only batting .234 off Hamill. His earned run average for the season is 3.4. However, the last 7 starts, his earned run average is closer to 5.5.
Well, he's only pitched and completed 6 innings once in the last 9 starts. Although in his last start, Miguel Montero, the catcher behind the plate today, said that he saw improvement in him that he has not seen in a month. So they like the trend anyway.
This guy's ERA was at 2.8 at the All-Star break. You see in 17 starts it allowed 11 home runs. He's averaging a home run per outing since the break. And maybe not a huge deal for Hamill because, like Dan Herron last night, you touched on it, Chris, he doesn't walk very many guys.
That's true, but if you look around baseball, all the offense is way up since the All-Star break. Earned run averages are up, numbers of runs per game are up, batting averages by team are way up. So maybe as the weather is heated up here in the second half, the offenses have gone along with it. Certainly Joey Votto has gotten hot in the second half.
3-2 on Suarez. Down the right field line, a base hit. Nice play by Jackson to cut it off, but it's a run-scoring single by Eugenio. And the Reds have a 2-0 lead.
What good-looking hitter Suarez is. I mean, we talk about it all the time. He's shown some power. He gets the ball up in the air, and the ball can fly out of here on you. Well, look at him take that pitch the other way. In order to hit that outside pitch that way, that hard, you really have to wait. Hit it right out of the catcher's glove.
Chris, this gets back to something we talked about 2 weeks ago after the trade of Marlon Byrd. And something that we have talked a great deal about the last 2 nights here in Chicago, watching Joe Madden. They're not asking, demanding that players are versatile, that they move around on a day-by-day basis. One day in left, another day in right, another day at third. That's a story for a guy like Bryant. Coghlan a day at second, day at third, game in right, moves over to left. Seen a whole lot of this going on. And I still wonder, would it not be a bad idea if we all agree that Eugenio Suarez is going to be a regular player on this Reds team looking ahead to next year? If you have basically 30 games to play around with a little bit, what would be wrong in checking him out in left field for a few games between now and the end of the year?
I see your point. I don't see anything wrong with it.
I mean, Cubs are doing it every day, so it's not like, somebody can come back and say, well, we don't want to try that. Well, why not? Cubs are doing it in the middle of a pennant race.
Well, the Cubs aren't doing it to get a look at a guy at a certain position. They're doing it to make sure that they've got the best team on the field on that particular game day. Reds will be doing it solely for audition purposes.
Sure.
And it really doesn't matter why you do it, I guess. He plays a pretty good defense at shortstop. I mean, he's gotten better as the year has gone on. I know you have Zach Cozart coming back from an ACL injury, waiting in the wings, probably be ready by spring training sometime. But one thing for certain, you've got to get him in the lineup somewhere. Because at 25 years old, he has shown a knack for being able just to hit big league pitching. And it's not just a month worth or just not a few weeks worth. It is more than just a short sample size that can fool you.
Well, it's basically June 11th is the date he took over. So you're knocking on the door here in another week and a half of 3 full months playing every day. Runner goes, swing and a miss. That's a part of his game we've not seen a lot of. He's 4 out of 5 in that department.
Well, the Reds, like to push that running game whenever possible, and they feel against Jason Hamels that they can take advantage of that. That is a 12 stolen base off of Hamel this year against only 3 throw-em-outs. What really changes the at-bat for everybody. For Skip Schumacher, for Jason Hamel, when you got that runner now in scoring position. Really what I mean by that is that if you got a runner at first base and you skip, or you're not, actually that was Schumacher already out. Iglesias now in the 9th spot, but now a little dump base hit in the right field can score, as opposed to trying to get a ball into the gap. Well, that 0.42 batting average, you can really help yourself if you just, choke way up, get up in the front of the box, and just try to get the wood on the ball. This is where Raisel Iglesias would be well served to think that they're just don't strike out. Just put the ball in play. You never know. You may have an error. You may beat out an infield hit. You may bloop one down the right field line. Of course, Raisel knows better than anybody how difficult it has been for the Reds to score runs for him when he's had the ball on the mound.
By pop-up will back up Fowler, and the inning is over. But the Reds have scored in each of the first 2 innings and lead 2-0.
Game of a 3-game set. I'm Jim Day. Raisel Iglesias. It's been fun to watch him throw with all those arm angles and seeing so many hitters swing and miss. Look at these numbers. These are consecutive games with strikeouts. Rookie pitcher since 1914. Iglesias 23 in consecutive starts. Only Gary Nolan better than that, and that is pretty good company. Now we're talking about innings limits with these guys, and Brian Price and the whole staff been keeping their eye on Raisel Iglesias. This is a guy that didn't pitch for a year until the Arizona Fall League last year. So with that in mind, they're very careful as to how many innings he's going to rack up this year. But on the flip side, Brian Price says, yes, we look at those innings, but we also have to look at the eye test. And the eye test meaning when he gets deeper into the games, what's his velocity, how is he doing towards the 6th inning, etc. And he says he's gotten stronger during games. And as far as the eye test goes, he sees no reason to shut him down yet. So I was glad to hear that the eye test is still involved in baseball, not just numbers.
Well, thank you, Jim, for that. Jeff Pico, Chris, told you and I that very same quote going all the way back to spring training when it became quite clear that Michael Lorenzen was going to be in in a position to battle for a spot in the rotation coming out of spring training. Likewise for Raisel Iglesias.
Well, it's very clear that he gets stronger as the game goes on, and he's gotten stronger as the innings have piled up. Now, at what point he'll begin to wear down, I don't know. But remember that the innings limit theory is all based on Tommy John injuries. This is really what you talk about, and it usually, at least traditionally in the last half a decade or so, have been regarding pitchers that are under 25 years of age. And the rule of thumb is under 25 plus 30, which is if you're under 25 innings, don't add any more than 30 innings onto your workload from the previous year. So the eye test may not come into play at all when you're talking about a Tommy John injury, because those seemingly appear out of nowhere. All of a sudden a pitcher loses a little bit of command. Maybe he loses some fastball, maybe he doesn't. Next thing you know, he gets an MRI and he's got an elbow problem. So I don't know whether you can predict it or not, but it's certainly, I agree with Brian Price and everybody else who watches Iglesias pitch. The guy is free and easy, and it doesn't seem to me like he's wearing down one bit.
And 2 on the catcher, Miguel Montero. 4 batters, 3 strikeouts, 4 up, 4 down for Raisel. And the 0-2. Boy, he is just dealing early on here today again. 95 miles per hour on that fastball.
Well, we knew we'd get it sooner or later, and against a left-handed hitter, we'll take this fastball and call that our flamethrower of the day. Brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. I mean, it's really amazing how a young man like Iglesias, he's not very big. He's only about 6, maybe 6'1". He's very slight compared to modern day pitchers who seem to, have the bodies of weightlifters. I mean, he's loosey-goosey, but somehow he generates a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And a nice, repeatable delivery with a knee-buckling breaking ball.
Well, he just looks so much like El Duque, Orlando Hernandez out there in every way. The way he wears his pants high with the socks high, the way he sets himself on the rubber, glove up in front of his face, more picking up the left leg than throwing it up in the air. Cub batters have swung 16 times so far. They put 1 ball in play. That was a pop up to short left by Bryant on an 0-2 pitch, ending the first inning. 2-1 on Austin Jackson. And you can see where the coloring on Iglesias' jersey, he is already sweating through the entire back of that jersey into center field. And Bourgeois got it in back-to-back perfect frames for Raisel Iglesias. Reds lead 2-0. 15 football season is Saturday night. The Bearcats open the newly renovated Nippert Stadium. The game can only be seen against Alabama A&M right here on Fox Sports Ohio, beginning at 7 o'clock. It's going to be so exciting. They're expecting big things out of the Bearcats again this year. Expected to have one of the best offensive teams in the country. And if their defense can improve from last year, and it needs to improve, Tommy Tuberville has said as much, it could be an extra special year for the football Bearcats. Jason Bourgeois led off the game with a home run into left field. Reds lead 2-0 as they bat against Hamill here in the third. Talking there, strike 3 to Bourgeois. We're talking about college football there. Don't forget, tomorrow night is actually the kickoff to the college football season. Jim Harbaugh former outstanding player, quarterback at the University of Michigan. Now the new head football coach. And the game will be on Fox Sports 1 tomorrow night. Michigan starts its season on the road in Utah. Taken high, ball 1. A play by Jay Bruce. It's going to be an exciting weekend, Chris. You got Reds baseball all weekend.
I like that.
And we have the start of college football.
Very good.
You going to get over to Nippert Stadium one game this year?
Oh, yeah.
How about the Horseshoe?
I don't know about that. Those tickets are tough to come by.
But you've never been there for the game. Didn't you tell me that?
Not since I was a kid.
Changed a little bit since then, Doctor.
Yeah, I can drive to it now.
Ball and 2 strikes. And it's taken down and in. Count even to Jay Bruce with Joey Votto waiting on deck. One hopper to Rizzo. And he'll feed Hamill at the bag for the second out. Reds got the home run by Bourgeois in the first inning, a 1-out double by Pena in the second, and he would score when the next batter, Eugenio Suarez, lined a single into right field. 3 strikeouts for Hamill without a walk. Reds 2 runs and 3 hits. Iglesias has retired the Cubs in order in each of the first 2 innings. Here's Votto, who struck out swinging in the first.
Kind of interesting, really, how well Hamill has done against Joey Votto in his career. And there aren't too many right-handed pitchers that can say that about Joey Votto, holding him to a batting average under 180 in his career. Just 3 hits and 17 at-bats coming into today. It's now 3 for 18. Struck him out on a changeup his first time.
Oh, look out.
Got a little backdoor breaking ball right there. That's what Votto does as well as anybody, and you really don't see a lot of left-handed hitters do that. Normally when a left-handed hitter gets a pitch down and in, he's, jerking his front hip open, and he's pulling that ball down the right field line somewhere. Votto rarely, if ever, pulls the ball to right field.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Hamill against Votto. First scoreless inning of the game for the Reds, but they're in front 2-0. Lowest opponent average by right-handed hitters in the National League. And look where Raisel Iglesias is. Yes, that is Zach Greinke. That is Max Scherzer, among others on that list. Behind Iglesias.
And the Rookie of the Year last year, and Jacob deGrom.
Greinke turned in another spectacular outing last night. Came out for the 8th inning. Normally they shut him down at the end of 7th. He has not ever become the pitcher that is going to go out there, complete a game for you. That's just who he is. Basically, at the end of the 7th, they take him out. Last night, one of the rare cases where they started him in the 8th inning. He was working on a shutout. As soon as he came out there for the 8th, the next thing you know, he gave up a run. And they had to get him out of the game. He wound up winning in an incredible matchup last night with Giants ace Madison Bumgarner. There's another big leaguer, Bumgarner.
Well, every championship team seems to have one or two, as in the case of the Dodgers, or hopeful championship team in their description.
I made the comment when the Dodgers were in town And swinging is Russell. That's already 5 of them in the game through the first 7 batters by Iglesias.
Yeah, 2 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 here in the third. I mean, for a guy that has had very little experience in the minor leagues, I mean, it is amazing how far advanced Raisel Iglesias is from a pitchability standpoint. He's had 6 starts in the minor leagues, all of them coming this year. Of course, he pitched 7 innings in the Arizona Fall League last year. I'm not even sure if that really qualifies. It's more of an instructional league than anything. But I mean, he just has such a feel for setting hitters up, knowing his stuff. And I'll tell you what really was, I was so happy to see the other day, Raisel Iglesias was out with John Lamb and Kiva Sampson early before the ball, just as soon as we got here in the afternoon. They already had enough field time down the right field line, and they were playing a game from years ago, a lost, forgotten game of pepper. And when I went down to talk to Lamb and Kiva Sampson about it, they said, well, it was Iglesias' idea. He knew how to play, and he had a point game that he wanted to play with those guys. If you keep it on the ground, you keep hitting. You get a point for every ground ball you hit. If you pop it up back to them, or you swing and foul it off and miss, then you switch hitters and fielders, and you get no points.
That's cool. It's a great game.
We used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
I reminded those guys when I first came to Wrigley Field, there were signs along some of the backstops that would say, no pepper.
Yep. Uh-oh. This one's going to leave the yard. The number 9 hitter, La Stella. And a lead chopped in half, 2-1 ball game.
La Stella was the player, if you remember the other night, came in, and he was the first batter that Aroldis Chapman faced. And even though he ended up striking out, he came and gave up some pretty good swings to Chapman. And he just drops the bat head on that, and on a hot day like today, that's a no-doubter.
The number off the end of the bat, foul ball.
He did that the other day, Fowler did, start the game off, or start the bottom of the first inning off. Reds had the defense pulled way around, and Frazier was playing near the shortstop spot, and Fowler was able to get a little seeing eye double down the line.
Oh, and 1 on Fowler. And that's just off the outside corner. Tell you, this La Stella, now I don't know if they're going to have a position for him to play every day. But one thing that cannot be denied, wherever this guy's had a chance to play regularly over a full year, and he hasn't been at it very long. He's only been professional baseball for 4 seasons. He has really hit. I don't mean a little bit. I mean really hit. And the guy never strikes out. In over 1,000 minor league and major league at bats, he has barely struck out 100 times. That's pretty impressive.
Once every 10 at bats.
And he's walked over 140 times.
His minor league batting average total is over 320. Never really been known for a lot of home runs, but obviously on a day like today, everybody's dangerous.
One and 2 to count on Fowler. Foul.
Well, Stella really, he must have surprised a lot of people because he started the season in Double-A, and then looks like he played the second half of the season in Triple-A.
You know, they were right about that whole trade early in the year because the young pitcher that was sent over to the Braves, Vizcaíno, was said to be not throwing as hard by the Cubs brass going back to the end of last year, and then all of a sudden when he got to Atlanta, They had him clocked at over 100 miles an hour in their minor league system. Pulled slowly to the right side. And that'll end the inning. A home run by La Stella. We go to the fourth, 2-1, Reds in front.
Inaugural Tri-County Mall Brandon Phillips Bowling Bash coming Saturday, September the 5th at the Super Bowl in Erlanger. So join Brandon and his Reds teammates. All of them will be there for an exciting evening of food, fun, and bowling while raising money for the Reds Community Fund. Visit reds.com/bowling and sign up today. Whether you can bowl or not, if you can't bowl, Brandon will probably give you lessons.
Well, Jim Day's going to be there. I know that. And we were, Chris, you and I were talking the other day, you know. Some people love seeing the players, and other people like seeing Jim Day.
That's a great combination for that bowling day then.
In fact, it was funny, you and I and Jim were hanging out a little bit last night after the game, and Brandon came walking by, and I mean immediately, he didn't want anything to do with you and me. He wanted to see his main man. That one is lined hard into center field, but caught by Fowler. What a nice play that was. Well, it appeared like he reached up at the last minute just to Venus flytrap that bad boy.
Well, he's a real tall, long, lanky center fielder, and when he gets on the run, it really doesn't seem like he's going that fast, but he's eating up a lot of real estate out there. And he just reaches that arm up, never really panics. Boy, that ball was right on the button stump. That's the second time today Brandon has hit the ball right on the screws, has nothing to show for it. Hit a line drive to second base for his first time out.
All right, here's Frazier. He popped up on the second pitch. Shane County has right now 1-0 count to Fowler in short center. And this time he takes a strike, 1-1. We are in the top of the fourth. A 2-1 Reds lead. Bourgeois home run in the first inning. Pena double, scored on a single by Suarez in the second. And then a 2-out solo home run to the seats in right field by La Stella in the third. Play made by Bryant.
Well, when Chris Bryant was leading the world in home runs back in the month of March in Arizona, and I mean he was seemingly hitting one, at least one every day, and the Cubs ended up sending him down to the minor leagues, reassigning him before the season opened. They were trying to find any excuse they could find to warrant him going down to the minor leagues, and one of those was to go down and learn how to play third base. They did not think that with his limited experience over there, and because he's 6 feet 5 inches tall, that he was ready to play D here at this level.
And really his progress was stunted in spring training of playing a lot of third because he injured his shoulder. So they were playing him in left field. He was still getting all the at-bats, but he wasn't able to play third, and ultimately that's what they envisioned him to be when they brought him up here. You know, it's funny though, it just goes to show you that old adage about sometimes don't make a mountain out of a molehill. I mean, people were ready. They were losing their minds about not bringing this guy up at the start of the year. I think they made a good call. They're doing all right.
I'm Jim Day. It's that time of year where the veterans really start messing with the rookies. This morning before the game, there's a Starbucks basically across the street from Wrigley Field, and it is normally packed. And they sent the group of rookies in full uniform, mind you, while the veterans were above heckling them across the street to get a major order of Starbucks. I mean, they ordered for every veteran. Michael Lorenzen leading the crew here. And here they go coming back out of there. It was Sean Marshall's idea, and I believe his money. And I think what Sean Marshall doesn't know was these guys, it was packed over there. So the people that had to wait in line waiting for all these orders to be taken, Michael Lorenzen turned around and said, we're going to buy for everyone here in Starbucks. And I'm not sure Sean Marshall knows that. He did get some change back, but I don't think quite as much as he thought. Brandon Phillips said, order me a caramel macchiato and 3 extra pumps in that and make it Georgia sweet. They were literally making up drinks, and when they walked away, Brandon said, I don't even know what a macchiato is, but it sounded good.
That's good stuff. Real good stuff. Thank you, Jim, and thanks to our crew for capturing that on video. We begin the bottom of the 4th inning. Nothing and 2 on Coughlin, and a swing and a foul ball out of play. Oh, and 2 to count on Coughlin. Jam shot, foul ball out of play. I mean, this Cub team will foul ball you to death. And we talked about it last night, Chris, and we talked about it very early in the game, and you astutely pointed out they already have 18 foul balls in this game alone. We are only in the 4th inning. And you pointed out last night as Coughlin's gone on strikes. It may not be a big deal or seem like a big deal now. But without all of those foul balls in the first 4 or 5 innings last night against East Lafani, if you cut those in half, what's he have in the tank in the 6th instead of losing it in the 6th?
Well, and that's one of the, it sounds easier than it really is. But the art of expanding the strike zone can sometimes be the main weapon in combating foul balls. I mean, you get ahead in the count, and then you keep pumping fastballs in there or breaking balls that are hittable, and they're in a defensive mode, and they're waiting, and they're fouling the ball off one after another. But if you have the mustard on the fastball like Iglesias did on that last pitch, you go up the ladder, and that's a tough one to foul off.
Bad boy having to run out a new set of baseballs after all these foul balls. Best in Major League Baseball, something we talked about last night. Number of pitches seen per plate appearance by this Cub team. And another foul ball by Bryant. Bryant popped up into short left field his first time up. Now, the Cubs have been slow to get started early in games in this series. They've scored a total of 3 runs. 3 in innings 1 through 4 in this series. From the 5th inning on, they have scored 9. And to rally 3 different times to come from behind to beat the Reds here last night. Tulo. Anthony Rizzo due up next. Iglesias set for his 51st pitch of this game. We are in the bottom of the 4th inning, and the Reds have a 1-run lead. 2-2. This is incredible. I mean, this is almost half of the pitches Iglesias has thrown in this game have been fouled off.
And it's not just by one or two Cubs batters. It seems to be the theme going up and down. To put it in perspective, the Reds aren't all that bad in that same category. They're 7th in the league. But if you look at the bottom teams in that category, the number of pitches per plate appearance, the worst, the lowest number, you have the teams that are in the bottom of their divisions. The Marlins, the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, the Rockies. And on the other side, you got the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Mets, the top 3 in the National League in most pitches per plate appearance. This is American League East style baseball. You know, you go up and you play the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Orioles, and I don't know whether this is brought over with Joe Madden or not, but I mean, they just wait you out and wait you out.
Away anything. I tell you what is interesting though, Chris, is that 7 strikeouts now. You know, you just mentioned all those teams, and you know they're near the bottom of their divisions. But 2 of those teams are the top 2 scoring teams in the league that are at the bottom of the plate per appearance the pitch is seen. Arizona is the leading scoring team in the league,
and the Rockies, right?
I kind of throw the Rockies out, but they are number 2. Of course, the Marlins and the Phillies they're just bad. I mean,
well, the Phillies are having a really fine second half of the season.
Under our old buddy Pete McCannon.
Yeah.
He's got to keep that job, doesn't he, the way they played the second half?
I would certainly think so.
Deep left center field, we're tied. Well, this team just keeps coming at you.
Well, you know, it was a matter of time, and the Reds were hoping to get out of town before Anthony Rizzo started heating up. In this series, coming into today's game, he was 0 for 6. In fact, in the last 16 games, Rizzo was batting .164, and he had struck out 20 times. And kind of the way that Kyle Schwarber was in a slump until he came out in a big way last night. Rizzo takes up care of that and ties it up.
And you wonder, did that lengthy at bat, much like in the game last night? Coghlan had a 9-pitch at bat against DeSclafani. It was a 9-pitch at bat against Bryant before that home run from Rizzo.
See, those are the numbers that are so hard to quantify.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say, well, number of pitches per plate appearance per team or per player, but what does it do to the pitcher when he faces the next guy? I think that's an excellent point you bring up.
And it's not just in the immediate, it's over the long haul. And then how soon are you getting the starter out of the game? How soon are you getting the bad bullpen guys into the game? Because you're having to go to them earlier.
Right. So instead of bringing your 8th inning guy in, who's normally a pretty good pitcher, you go to your middle relievers, who are middle relievers because they don't fit anywhere else.
Now the Cubs in all of this, they are not a high-scoring team. They rank 9th out of 15. They've had their ups and downs.
It's a tough place to score early in the year with the wind blowing in, cold nights. Much better place to pitch in April and May than it is in August and September, at least early September.
And the Cubs are not necessarily a good on-base percentage team. They're only one spot in front of the Reds. You certainly wouldn't put the Reds in that category as a good on-base percentage team. You took away one guy's number from the Reds.
And they'd probably drop to the bottom of the poll.
Yes. Not only are the Cubs not a good on-base percentage team, they are not a slugging team. Slugging percentage, now they'll hit some home runs, but they're 10th out of 15 in slugging percentage. So if you're a big believer in that on-base percentage plus slugging is going to add up to a really good offensive team, They're on base and they're slugging. Is in the lower third or middle of the pack, slightly less than the middle of the pack. Suarez, a nice flip to Brandon Phillips to end the inning. But Rizzo ties it up. Suarez able to make sure no further damage done in this inning. 2-2. We go to the fifth. Ohio brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Meyer, find more for a healthier you at Meyer. By Duke Energy, delivering more than just electricity, it's power for your life. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. And a special hello to all of you watching over at Cincinnati Children's today, right around 3:30 in the afternoon. Hope you're having a great day, and certainly pray you have a better one tomorrow. But lots to go today. Reds jumped out to a 2-0 lead. It's 2-2. They come to bat here in the fifth against Hamill, who allowed runs in each of the first 2 innings and has worked perfect innings in each of the last pair. Suarez knocked in the Reds' second run with a single down the right field line, plating Pena, who doubled in front of it. That ball driven hard into right center field, and this will find a gap. Man, is this kid impressive. It seems like every other day we're talking about Suarez. I don't know how you can't stop talking about it. This guy can hit.
You know what? It's kind of funny because he got so hot there for a while that Brian Price put him up towards the top of the lineup. He was batting in the number 2 slot, right in front of Joey Votto, figuring he was getting on base a lot. Why not? And he cooled off and goes back down the number 7 spot and is beginning to really hit the ball all over again. So if you're Brian Price, you ask yourself the question, do I move him again in the lineup up a couple of spots? I mean, right now there's an argument you could make to switch him with Jay Bruce, because Bruce is going bad and Suarez is going good.
There's now 27 extra base hits for Suarez
since June 11th.
And for Suarez, you have to remember, we talk about this with a lot of guys that come up, but we haven't talked about it much with him. He is seeing all of these pitchers virtually for the first time.
I don't think he analyzes things. In the conversations I've had with him, I mean, he's really trying to keep it simple and basic, which is see the ball and hit the ball, whether you boil it all down.
Up through the middle, and Schumacher will advance Suarez down to third, and now we'll see Iglesias if he can find a way to get him in. We invite you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag OhioDataStrongFan. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Reds got an RBI from a pitcher in the game here last night for the first time since the last week of July. In fact, it was the first hit by a Red starting pitcher since Iglesias picked up his first and only major league hit over 3 weeks ago. Infield drawn in. Iglesias tries to put his team back in front, and he's going to do it. This ball is driven way back, and Raisel is off to the races. This will be 3 if he wants it. And here he comes. An easy triple to right center field by Raisel Iglesias. What is it about these Cuban guys running into pitchers for the Reds?
Man, he can fly.
Man.
Well, he picks up an RBI. That's a big thing right here. He just puts a nice little swing on the ball. Gets up there, a hanging breaking ball from Hamill. And because the outfielders are playing so close to the infield, I mean, they respected not one bit of his power. And he can now he really kicks it into gear right here.
Hey, he's moving now. I don't know if I like that slide much.
A little late slide.
It looked like you slide. Now.
Even when I don't need to be sliding.
That's right. Okay, we saw Chapman the other night score from first base, and now his fellow countryman, Mr. Iglesias, a triple, his first career extra base hit, his first career run batted in, and a diving play by Bryant. What a big time play that is.
Boy, hit well by Bourgeois. Sometimes it helps to be 6'5". Reaching way out there.
Well, we've seen it in the first two games of this series. And Joe Madden commented on the paper yesterday, in the paper this morning, after the game last night. He said, look, we're not auditioning anybody out here. Guys understand it. End of 5, we got a lead, and I like our bullpen's chances. They're getting the ball. We're trying to win games. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can certainly understand that. The question that some would have, and it is a legitimate question, what will those bullpen arms look like the third or fourth week of September if you do that 3-4 days a week?
If they get a couple of the bullpen guys back who are on the disabled list now, Jason Mott, Neil Ramirez, those guys could really make a difference for you.
Soriano,
especially Mott.
Although he was really struggling when he went down. High pop-up by Jay Bruce. That didn't take long. And that'll end the inning. Bruce is 0 for 3. Reds get a run thanks to Mr. Iglesias and lead by a run.
Doing it again today. The swing and miss king of late. He's been mowing these Cubs down. Had 2 strikeouts in the first, struck out 2 in the second, 1 in the third, and then again 2 in the fourth. So he's got 7 strikeouts through 4 innings. And these are Reds rookie pitchers since 1914. Most strikeouts in 3 consecutive starts. Raisel Iglesias sitting at 30 right now. 6 behind the Reds record since 1914. Gary Nolan, 1967, had 36, and who knows, see how far he can go today. But 7 of them today, and he got to tell you guys, he was breathing pretty heavy when he came off the field after that triple. So we'll see if that has any effect on this very, very hot day.
That certainly is worth repeating to keep an eye on Iglesias here. He's taking a little extra time coming back behind the mound, getting himself cleaned up a little bit. I don't think more than 3 pitches went by after he slid into third. Bourgeois hit the ball very early in the count. The diving play by Bryant. And I believe that Jay Bruce swung at the first pitch in his at-bat. So he didn't have long at all. Catch his breath. End of the inning. Get back in that dugout. Towel off. And here we go. Ball 1. Latter third in the batting order for the Cubbies. And it's 2-0 on Addison Russell, who struck out his first time up.
You know, even with the 7 strikeouts that he has, only 65 pitches so far, so not all that bad for Iglesias.
For the second time he's going to a 3-ball count today. A 4-pitch walk after that triple.
Maybe time to take a little jog out to the mound, or maybe Iglesias doesn't need it. Take a lap around the mound yourself and just get rid of the negative thoughts.
We'll stop by the Reds Connect Zone, presented by Miami University at Great American Ballpark. It's located on the third base concourse behind section 109. Offers free charging stations, 23, 27 now, screens of game coverage. Lots going on. Check it out. The Connect Zone. Iglesias caught a break right there. That was ball one to Hamill, and he stabbed at the pitch and missed it for a strike.
Well, this is somewhat unusual here, what Iglesias finds himself in right now. That is only the third pitch today he has thrown from the stretch position. And his next pitch will be number 69.
There come both of the Cubs runs, coming on solo home runs, and he walked Montero before getting the fielder's choice to end the inning. Votto to Phillips. Perfectly done by Hammer. La Stella unloaded to the seats in right field, a home run. His first as a Cub back in the third inning.
Stella, 26 years old, went to high school in New Jersey and did his college work at Coastal Carolina in Conway, South Carolina.
Aren't they the Chanticleers? Is that their nickname?
Are they?
I don't know. One of those schools is down there. I think it's Coastal Carolina.
Did you say that the player that the Cubs traded to the Braves in exchange for Tommy La Stella was throwing 100 miles an hour?
That was when we were in Atlanta this year. It was very early in the year. And there was an article written in the Chicago paper here, wondering, hey, you traded this guy who potentially can throw whatever it was. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not.
Well, you know what his name is, don't you? Aroldis.
Right. Vizcaíno, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I vaguely remember the article kind of skimming through it. It was they were making a big deal about it around here because La Stella was not with a major league club. And there was some kind of, if I remember right, is that when he swung on and fouled up? Wasn't there some kind of a supplemental international pick involved in that trade? I didn't understand that at the time.
You know what? I've seen the Cubs. I don't know if in that deal it was, but I know that the Cubs have traded a lot of international slots.
It was in that deal. Somebody got one of those picks in that trade.
Which really just allows you, I think, to spend more money on international signings. Precisely. You have a limited amount of money that you can spend, and that's one of the ways they try to keep the rich clubs from outspending the little ones.
Phillips will throw out the former Chanticleer La Stella. 2 away in the inning. On the third goes Russell. Here comes Fowler. You know what a Chanticleer is? I never knew. It's a basketball tournament a couple of years ago. It's a chicken.
Sounds like something you would drink for breakfast that would have champagne in it.
It does.
Or maybe something you wash your windows with.
It's a breed of chicken originating in Canada. It goes all the way back to the days in Quebec. I'm surprised you wouldn't know that, being a former resident. There's a swing and a foul ball out of play to the third base side. Of course, you don't eat eggs, so you wouldn't be a fan necessarily of the
I did back
Chanticleer.
then. I did back then.
During your residency in Quebec? Now that's a big league residence.
Sure is. I was a little slow picking up the language.
Oh, and 2 on Fowler as Iglesias tries to pitch around a leadoff walk with a 1-run lead here in the bottom of the 5th. '77th pitch of the game coming up for Iglesias. Only one time, and that was his very first start. Very early this season did he go 8 innings in a game, and that's a nice job. Probably battling through a little fatigue at the start of the inning. Runner left at third, and the Reds in front by a run.
It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, tonight, coming up on an all-new Reds Weekly, Joey Votto talks about one of his baseball idols. Incredible story about Reds employee Chris Harrell, recently introduced to the man who saved his life from across the globe. All-new Reds Weekly, it's here tonight, following Reds Live, the post-game version right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Now, the Reds over the last 2 days have scored 7 runs. 3 today, 4 yesterday. They have not scored more than 1 in any inning. They were denied multiple runs on the diving play by Bryant in the 5th. Let's see if now with the heart of the order coming up, they can do some damage against Hamill as he misses to Votto, whom he struck out twice today. Reds about hit him 5-2, outscored him 3-2. All the rest of the action in the National League, outside of one other game in Atlanta, will be played tonight. Earlier today, Miami beat Atlanta 7-3 the final. Well, how about the Cardinals last night? They get the home run, walk-off home run against Drew Storen by Brandon Moss, a 3-run bomb. Base hit into center field by Votto.
Well, Tommy, you know what this time of year means. In the northern desert of Nevada, it is the Burning Man celebration. And who's the Reds' version of the Burning Man? Joey Votto himself. We were talking a little bit about that before the game. A celebration festival that started in 1986 in San Francisco has migrated since to the desert, the northern desert of Nevada.
What is it a celebration for?
It's a celebration of life, but people come and they dress up and they spend more than a week there, I think, and just interact and have fun, and they bring in huge contraptions that they have built, like fancy bicycles or all sorts of things like that. You've got to get on the internet and look at some of the photos of it. But I mean, at the very end of the celebration and festival, they burn. They used to start and they would build this huge, like 2 or 3 story tall man, and they would burn that at the very end of the festival, and they still do. It changes a little bit every year.
We ought to send you out there for a couple of days and check in with you during Reds baseball about this time of the year.
Hey, had some friends that went out there last year and said it was an experience of a lifetime. Although they're not back again this year.
So it couldn't have been that good.
Tickets are hard to get, and they're not cheap. But there's a shot of one of the years of the Burning Man where they fire it up on the last.
What is it a celebration of?
It's a celebration of life. You're getting there.
Life?
Of life.
Of life. A bunch of people hang out in the desert in Nevada.
Exactly right.
From San Francisco to Nevada.
Well, you don't have
gone.
to be from San Francisco. You can come from anywhere, all over the world.
I'm saying
they
it's
come.
moved from San Francisco.
Yeah, because the beach that it originated on in San Francisco wasn't big enough to hold all the people. We're talking about tens of thousands of people there.
All right. Well, I think that you should go out there next year as a correspondent, and we check in with you during Reds baseball. What do you think?
I'm on it. Let's run that by Bob Pennell, see what he says.
No, I'm going straight to the top. Francois McGillicuddy.
There you go. Well, he may want to go.
I think, I tell you who would want to go is Tom Farmer. If you were to go out with Tom Farmer, the executive producer at Fox Sports Ohio, and you guys head out there, because he's got family, lives out west out there. He's got a daughter out there, grandkids now out there in, I believe, Washington State. So that'd be a good trip. 3-2 pitch. Runner goes, and a liner into right field to fall, a base hit. Votto doesn't know where the ball is.
Well, it was a great decoy by the infielder that got Votto, but he really should have picked up the third base coach. And you get hung up in no man's land because you're trying to find the ball and you're being decoyed. And take a look at Joey running around the bases here.
Let's see if he ever makes contact with Riggleman.
Well, he never got the third. You mean eye contact with Wrigley? I evidently did not.
That's all for Hamill. He will leave after allowing hits to Votto and Phillips to start this inning. Too bad that they're not on the corners here. We'll see how the rest of this inning plays out. Reds in front by a run. This will be our Skyline Chili call. Well, for a third straight day, a Chicago Cubs starter cannot get through an out in the sixth inning.
Well, that's 10 straight games now for Jason Hamill where he's not pitched 6 complete.
How about this by Todd Frazier? Puts down a sacrifice bunt to advance the runners to second and third.
I think that caught everybody off guard because Trevor Cahill came off the mound, and if he had been really aggressive and gone after this ball, you got a force play at third base. Votto got a bad jump, and you have an easy play at third base on this. Not a big lead out there from Votto, and if you just turn and spin to third, it's a force play. So the Reds pick up another break.
All right, well, this is going to bring in a run. And that makes it a 4-2 ball game. Now, I know there are probably some people that are saying great move, others that are throwing something at the television when your leading RBI guy puts down a sacrifice punt. But you certainly cannot criticize the team first thinking of Frazier because, Chris, I think we both would be stunned if we found out later he was asked to sacrifice. I mean, the Reds have been reluctant to sacrifice with anybody in the middle of the order, as all our teams.
Yeah, but, Tom, I think it's – you think that if you're Todd Frazier and you want to make sure – I mean, that bunt was, as much an attempt for a base hit bunt as it was for a sacrifice. I really think that if you're going to sacrifice, the runners on base ought to know that it's going to happen because they need to run the bases aggressively. They can't be caught off guard by all of a sudden, your best RBI guy squaring around and bunting, and you don't really have as good enough lead, and you're not mentally ready for a bunt. Unless you've been through it before and you kind of talk your way through it.
Well, Frazier has been bunting a lot more lately during this tough stretch of his. He had one bunt hit in his entire career up until about 3 weeks ago, and now he's had 3 in less than a month, and now a sacrifice. Which, without even looking, I would have to believe for Frazier would be a first for this year. Yep, that's his first sacrifice this year. In fact, it's his first sacrifice since 2013. And it leads to a run. Because that ground ball by Pena would have been a double play to win the inning. And Suarez draws a walk. Well, you know, Chris, in a climate in which we live, as you see the numbers on Cahill, a failed starter with Arizona among others. In a climate in which we live, where we see so much selfishness every day, and we're so quick to point out selfishness, we should also be pointing out situations where guys are giving themselves up to help the team win a game. And whether you agree with Frazier doing it or not, those of you at home, that run might mean the difference in this ballgame. Stung by Schumacher, and that'll end the inning. So they get a run. Another one-run inning, but it's a 2-run lead. He might come into town for that. The Reds and the Brewers. It's day after tomorrow. Big post-game fireworks show, a Grateful Dead soundtrack presented by Cincinnati Arts and Technology Center. 513-381-REDS or log on to Reds.com. Oh, actually, a fan actually sent us I was wrong about I mean, I'm correct technically in what a Chanticleer is. A Chanticleer is a chicken. But apparently, Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers, you were saying they what?
It's from the Canterbury Tales.
Okay.
And that would come from one of our followers on Twitter.
All right.
We thank you
thank
for
you.
posting that.
Very nice. Very nice. Swung on and fouled out a play by Coughlin.
So you're going to find a use for Twitter someday after all.
No, I won't. I really won't. But it's really cool if other people do. Good for them.
Yeah. Well, I'll fill you in when.
I appreciate it when you fill me in on stuff like that. So that's great.
I would imagine that this is about the time, even though he's only got 82 pitches, that you may want to start keeping an eye on Raisel Iglesias. Walked his first batter of the game in the fourth. Walked the leadoff hitter last inning. And now you're in that part of the lineup that seems to be so adept at fouling pitches off and running the pitch count up.
To begin the inning.
Well, he danced around that leadoff walk last inning that was followed by a sacrifice. But a little different part of the order right here. The leadoff walk went to the seventh hitter in the lineup, Addison Russell. This is the second hitter in the lineup, and now coming to the plate is Bryant, Rizzo, and Montero. Bryant 3 hits last night, 2 strikeouts tonight, or today. Activity in the Reds bullpen, and one of the reasons may be that if you were going to get somebody up in the bullpen, you'd want to get up a left-hander. The Reds, of course, don't have one down there. You've got Bryant right-handed, and then 2 left-handers in a row in Rizzo and Montero.
By Bryant. 1 ball and 1 strike. 31,165 on this Wednesday afternoon at Wrigley Field. This is the rubber game of this 3-game series. Wind continues to pick up, now blowing pretty much straight out. And you see the flags just above the original scoreboard, which still stands here at Wrigley Field in Chicago. It's interesting, though, you look around, you cannot see the score of the game anywhere else. None of the other boards has the score of the game, except for the manual board, where you have to add it up going across the line. In straightaway center. There you have it. 4-2. Frazier for one. Bryant runs well, but Brandon turns it over, and after a leadoff walk, that's a big double play rolled up by Raisel Iglesias.
Well, the Reds have always been able to throw and catch the ball really well, and they do it right here all the way around the long way. 5-4-3. That one last stride by Bryant in a valiant attempt to try to get there in front of the throw. Well, that changes the complexion of the inning a little bit when you have a 2-run lead now with Rizzo stepping at the plate.
Sure does. Rizzo struck out his first time up and then hammered one to the bleachers in left center field. His 27th home run, his 79th run batted in. Raisel ahead at a ball and 2 strikes. Cubs have not been afraid to move Rizzo around in the lineup a little bit too. We've seen the Reds do that with Votto. He's hit 2, 3, 4. Same thing with Rizzo. Both those guys are big on base percentage guys. Rizzo's driven in more runs. And basically the extra base hits are a wash. Rizzo has 1 more home run, he has 1 more double, and he has 1 more triple than does the Reds first baseman. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. That missed a woman's face by an inch. This is something you really hope Major League Baseball addresses this year. We've reached the point in time where we're moving everything so close. And what a bounce back after a leadoff walk from Iglesias. He is now fanned 8 through 6. The Reds lead by a pair. In summary, the very first batter of the game for the Reds, Jason Bourgeois, to the seats in left field. 1-0 lead the next inning after a double by Brian Pena. A base hit by Eugenio Suarez to make it a 2-0 game. Solo home runs in the 3rd and 4th for the Cubbies. La Stella and then Rizzo. Raisel Iglesias in the 5th put the Reds in front with his first extra base hit, his first RBI in the big leagues. And then a ground out after a sacrifice, the first since 2013 by Todd Frazier. Advanced Votto and Phillips, whom had started the inning with singles. So a ground ball drove in the run. So you're up to speed on every run in this one. It is 4-2 Reds as they bat against Cahill. And Iglesias to lead things off in the 7th. Look how shallow Fowler is still playing. Now, you'll take your chances all day, every day. He's not going to hit one by you again. comebacker to the mound. Well, now,
You know, one thing we didn't tell you about Trevor Cahill, that he owns the Major League record for career hits allowed in Australia. He started a game once at the Sydney Cricket Ground in 2014.
Yep. Against the Dodgers. It's when Major League Baseball, you may remember, prior to last season, opened its regular season with the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. That was in like mid-March, right?
It sure was. Then they came back and had more spring training.
I remember going over and broadcasting for Fox Major League Baseball's season opener. First time ever it had opened on foreign soil in Japan. Over in Tokyo. The Mets and these Cubs were over there. I'll tell you what, they love their baseball in Japan. And I don't know about Australia all that much. You know, they really love cricket in Australia. But Japan, they really love baseball. They have their own professional league there, and it's a good one. Broken bat Tapper. Ryan throws out Bourgeois. Or as Chris would say to the Cubs announcer, Burgess.
I apologize to Pat.
Believe you did that.
I apologize to him again today. And I assured him I just zoned out. I really thought he was talking about Peter Borges for some reason.
Wow. Are you one of those guys where, you know, you're at some cocktail party and a buddy of yours comes over and says, hey, the guy that walked in the room, I remember meeting him. Do you know his name? The guy's his name is John, and you know that. And you say, oh, his name is Peter.
I might be that guy.
I do like that. I do like that. Well, it's the third straight day we've seen the left-hander Clayton Richard come on from the Chicago Cubs bullpen. Reds are leading 4-2, batting in the seventh inning in the rubber game of this three-game series. Richard, 2/3 perfect innings in the series opener, allowed 2 hits and a run, did not retire a batter last night. But he's able to get Jay Bruce, and that'll end the inning. Iglesias back to the hill in a seventh with a 2-run lead.
History.
Yes.
Because, of course, it was Milt Pappas who came over from the Baltimore Orioles to the Reds, and then the Reds, well, the way they got him from the Orioles is that they traded away Frank Robinson.
Yeah, don't bring that up around Milt. He doesn't like to be reminded of that.
He traded him in 1965 for Frank Robinson, and then the Reds turned around a few years later and traded him to the Cubs. Well, Clay Carroll, Tony Cloninger, and Woody Woodward.
That was a good deal for the Reds. That was a really good deal. Clay Carroll became a staple for many, many years in an outstanding Reds bullpen. That's right. Reds Hall of Fame. We enjoy seeing the Hawk.
Always.
They had Milt Pappas singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." It was on this date in 1972. He fired a no-hitter for the Cubbies. Swing and a miss by Montero. There's Milt. Final out of that one. Against the San Diego Padres. Were you on that team?
No, I was washing my dad's car that day. Or helping him anyway.
No, you.
I can pretty much tell you I was. My dad used to drag the field over behind All Saints and Moeller with his car because there was no tractor available. And it would get awfully dusty. And he didn't like a dirty car.
I don't blame him. It's mighty nice of him to do that. Gone swinging is Montero, and that's strikeout number 9 for Iglesias.
He still has plenty of fastball, Iglesias. I mean, and action on it, too.
Well, let me get something straight real fast. You said All Saints.
Yeah.
Isn't that the feeder school for Moeller?
Well, it's right next to Moeller. I mean, a lot of kids do go from All Saints to Moeller.
Probably the majority.
I imagine some go from All Saints to Indian Hill or Sycamore, or
but
depending
if
on where
they
you live.
go to an all-boys school and they went to All Saints, most of them, wouldn't you say, go to Moeller?
Except the ones that pass the St. X exam.
Now you're getting under the collar of some more.
Well, you were going there with it.
I just wanted to ask you how it happened. I wasn't being abrasive in any way. You're the guy that went to St. X, and I'm just asking, if your dad's dragging the field at All Saints, why are you not at Big Mo?
Well, because Jerry Faust was intent on making me a football player, and I like baseball.
All right, fair enough.
Wouldn't have helped his career anyhow.
Well, probably not.
I can tell you that.
He didn't need a whole lot of help back then. 101 pitches now in the game for Raisel Iglesias, and he has pitched another dandy here today. Beginning September, just like he rolled through the entire month of August, he has only given up 2 base hits, 2 solo home runs. He's walked 3, fanned 9. Swinging a foul ball back out of play. Told you that Iglesias all of a sudden has found the strikeout rhythm the last 2 starts, and now make it a 3rd today. 32 strikeouts in his last 3 starts. Trying to make it 33 on this pitch.
That's a really interesting pitch right there, because if you're an overhand fastball pitcher, you don't get a lot of right-handers to swing at that pitch that's up and in. But he has that low arm angle, and he starts it, around the middle of the plate, and it has a life of its own and just runs right up and in on left-hand or right-handed hitter. And well, it's just an awfully hard pitch to even foul off. Pena wanted that pitch outside anyway, but it doesn't matter. If you're going to miss your spot, you don't miss it down the middle.
See, I love the leadership there on Pena. Ball's lined into left center field. He'll fall in a hit. And that'll be a 2-out double and a 1-2 pitch by Jackson to keep the inning alive for Russell.
I think they're going to like Austin Jackson. He's only 28 years old. He's got plenty of baseball left in him. Get a nice start to his career with the Detroit Tigers. Went to Seattle. Just a really good athlete.
The tying run at the plate. The Reds have the bullpen ready. Starlin Castro has moved into the on-deck circle. Russell is 0 for 1, a strikeout and a walk. 2-0. Sam LeCure is ready if they choose to go get Iglesias. Raisel was allowed to bat in the top of his 7th inning. He struck out Montero to start the inning, but now allows the 1-out double to Jackson. There's a strike. Good pitch
on the block.
Castro waiting. This might be the final batter if he should reach for Iglesias. Batter went around, but the ball got away from Pena. 3-2 on Addison Russell. What happened here? Had a lot of movement on it. Pass ball against Pena.
Almost looked like it was a cross-up right there, because if Pena had anticipated that breaking ball and he started it as far outside as he did, he would have already started moving his body out there. For Iglesias, he's closing in on his high number of pitches on the year. 113 prior to today's is his high water mark. And that was also against the Cubs.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. You had to have found that online somewhere, because that's not available in the daily information.
I wish it was.
10 strikeouts for Iglesias. He goes 3 consecutive games of fanning 10 or more.
Yeah, I mean, 10, 10, and 13 in his last 3 games.
How about that?
I mean, here's a young man that has hardly pitched any baseball at all in the minor leagues. He pitched a little bit in April, then he pitched again when he was ready to come off the disabled list. He went on to disableness, not with an arm injury, but with a strained rib muscle, an oblique. Here are some of the highlights of this afternoon for Raisel Iglesias and his strikeouts. He's got 10 of them.
Remember, you talked about Iglesias and very little experience. Let's not forget, it's easy to forget sometimes when you have a pitcher who was signed under the circumstances in which Iglesias was after defecting and coming over here. He wasn't drafted. But like Mike Leake, the first professional appearance in the career of Raisel Iglesias was in a major league game. It was when he started against the St. Louis Cardinals in that second series of the season. That start, and the next day was optioned to Louisville. Made 4 starts for the Bats before he was promoted again, and made 3 starts, 2 relief appearances before going on the disabled list. And after a pair of rehab appearances for Louisville, brought back up, started in Miami and got lit up, you may remember, by the Marlins just before the break. And he's breaking bats and breaking hearts in Chicago today. Iglesias, a dominant 7 innings of work and a big hug from his catcher Pena. Folks, this young man's been something else to watch. He leads at the end of 7 with a 4-2 lead. That is the big question. 6 outs to go as we're set to begin the 8th inning. Cubs have used Hamill, Cahill, Richard for an out. And now Travis Wood. Iglesias. I mean, this has been as good a run, Johnny Cueto included, over a 7-start stretch as any Reds pitcher in recent memory. I mean, we're talking about a guy through 6 starts in August, an ERA of 2.2. ERA terrific. Opponent batting average against 148. In 40 innings, punched out 45. And now you begin September. 7 innings, 3 hits and 2 runs. He has not allowed more than 4 hits in a game since the end of July. Only twice in 7 starts has he surrendered a high 3 runs.
You're talking about consideration for pitcher of the month type stuff.
No question. Now the win-loss record, and of course that's been out of his hands. In August, only 2 and 3, but the other numbers are great.
We showed you the run support that he's had to work with, which makes it even more impressive that he pitches in a stressful game every time he goes out. Reds could relieve a little bit of the stress on the Reds bullpen by putting up a couple of runs in this inning against Travis Wood.
Well, it's J.J. Hoover naturally with the lead, who cranks it up in the 8th inning. And Votto is struck out for the 3rd time today. He's also singled and scored.
Just high heat right there, maybe a little bit of a cutter, I guess. Votto may have thought it was on the upside. Travis Wood comes in to pitch the one batter, and that will be it. There's Joe Madden.
We'll be back in a moment. Well, here's a matchup we saw last night, and it had a little drama to it.
Well, it ended the inning on a strikeout to Brandon Phillips. And Stroke, who is known to celebrate a little bit off the mound, watch him celebrate as he looks right at Brandon Phillips. And Brandon gives him the thumbs up. We find out later that Brandon was saying to him, fine, you get me this time, I get you next time.
Well, here's next time.
Yeah.
Reds lead 4-2. 1 out, nobody on in the 8th inning. Breaking ball down and away. Good numbers for Stroke. Came under some criticism around these parts early in the year. As the season gone on, he's gotten better and better. I mean, you see 6 losses out there. That's what a lot of fans remember, especially when you're in a pennant race. Guy in the 8th inning is your 8th inning guy, and they have that many losses, you're going to remember him. It's only natural. And this guy's been pretty darn dependable since they brought him up to the big leagues. Two and two on Brandon. Bang, take that. If Phillips takes a look over at Strobe this time, Strobe doesn't even turn to look at him.
No, in fact, Brandon was kind of watching him as he was running down the line, and Strobe, now he finally looks at him. I don't know what that means.
Jim Day, do you have any idea what that means when he starts rubbing his head with both hands like that after a base hit?
I do not know, but I will inquire after the game.
Somebody told us that's what some of these Cubs have been doing after they get a hit. I never pay any attention to it, and apparently that's the case. All right.
Well, they haven't had too many hits to do that with today. Maybe that's why we haven't picked that up.
So the Cubbies are rubbing their head when they get base hits. They've been doing that all year long. Yeah. All right. Here's a 1-0. Frazier put down a bunt, and it's turned out to be a very important play in this game rather than just a one-run lead. It gave the Reds a chance to tack on to that one-run advantage to make it the current 2. It's when he put down his first sacrifice since 2013 after singles by Votto and Phillips started the Reds' 6th inning, enabling Pena to knock in that 4th Reds run with a ground ball. And he whacks this one into left field. So Mr. Strope has come on after doing some big-time celebrating, in-your-face talking last night. And all of a sudden, the Reds have hit a pair of rockets off Pedro Strope.
Frazier can hit a fastball, and you're laying it right down there belt high, and he puts a nice level swing on it, and he does the Cub rub.
All right, now Pena. You talk about some unlikely offense today for these Reds. You look up and down their lineup. Bourgeois has a home run. You have Iglesias with a run-scoring triple. First time he's ever knocked in a run in his career. And your leading RBI man, Frazier, lays down a sacrifice. Brandon's dancing around out there like he wants to take off the third. Slow rolling. They will get one, not two.
Well, what a terrific play, though, by Tommy La Stella. I mean, the safe thing to do on that ball, because it was hit so softly, is simply grab the ball, get it under control, and throw it to first base. But he's still thinking about maybe a double play to end the inning, knowing that Brian Pena's a catcher and he's running to first. Brian Price is going to go out and he's going to argue the neighborhood call right there. And the whole idea of the neighborhood call at second base, of course, is so that the fielder doesn't get creamed by the runner when he's trying to turn a double play ball. And the thing to think about and look at is, did the throw pull the fielder off the bag? Because if it was a true throw and didn't pull the fielder off the bag, then there's no complaint and no review, and that's what we've got here.
All right, so the way things have gone of late, this is a guy you want up there in this spot with 2 on and 2 out. That's Eugenio Suarez. He's had a big day today. A single, an RBI, a stolen base, a double, a run scored, and a walk. Strike one on Suarez. Come in there again and missed off the inside corner. We're in the top of the 8th inning. The Reds have runners on the corners and a 2-run lead. Phillips a single with 1 out. Stands at third. Pena the runner at first. 1-1 to Suarez. To a fastball right by him at 96. Pena delayed steal and gets into scoring position. That's a heads-up play right there by Pena. You take that forced play off at second base. It's his second steal of the year.
Bounce, 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 and then go. You're stealing it really on the catcher and the infielder. Sometimes after the pitch, just put their heads down.
Trying to get Suarez and Stroke to chase a 2-2 breaking ball down and away. He does not. So a 3-2 pitch coming up with a pair of runners in scoring position after the second steal of this season by Pena.
If you look back on the majority of delayed steals, I would think that the majority of those have been done by catchers.
Long swing. 2 hits, 2 left. J.J. Hoover. It's his job to try and protect his 2-run lead when we return.
Reds and celebrating Redstoberfest. Arrive early for pregame ceremonies and activities celebrating German Heritage Day. Plus, the first 20,000 fans receive a Red Stein thanks to Hollywood Casino. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. I'm Jim Day. People asking on social media, what's the update on Billy Hamilton on the disabled list with a shoulder injury? The injury was more significant than they thought originally, obviously on the DL. Today, Brian Price said it was the first day back in Cincinnati that he will throw with that injured shoulder. That is the last hurdle for him to get over before he returns to the big club. They would like to send him out on a rehab, at least a game, but the problem is they're running out of season in the minor leagues, so keep you updated on each day. He is day to day, but they would like to send him out. Not sure if they're going to have time to do that. See what happens.
All right, James, thank you. A couple of changes for the Reds. Ryan Lamar now in center. Jason Bourgeois moves over to left, and on the mound, Reds in front by a pair is the right-hander J.J. Hoover. Outstanding numbers this season for J.J. Now, remember, in the series opener, I mean, it wound up a 13-6 game, but it was tight at the end of 8. Reds scored 6 runs, you may remember, in the 9th inning. It was a 1-run game, and Hoover had to be bailed out by Aroldis Chapman in the 8th inning after allowing a double and a walk. Chapman came in to get the final 5 outs in that game, notching the save. His first multi-out save, 5 or more outs in over 2 years. And with an off day tomorrow, who knows if there's any sign of trouble here in this inning, because you've got a pile of left-handed batters, theoretically anyway, coming up for the Cubbies as they do each and every day. Costello lefty to lead it off. What an effort again by Raisel Iglesias.
If the stat that we're getting on Twitter is true, Tom, and it comes from Joe Luckup, who's a pretty good source. He's our home statistician when we do games from Great American Ballpark. He's looked it up back to at least 1914. Raisel Iglesias is the only Reds pitcher ever to have back-to-back-to-back games where he has struck out at least 10.
Votto just in time.
Give Hoover the assist.
Yep. Polisard and Brian Price will come trotting out. JJ just looking at him like, what are you doing out here? I'm okay. I hope that's the case.
Throw a couple of pitches anyway. I think it got him in the foot. At first I thought it was just a run-of-the-mill shin burger. He's all right.
Frame Hoover, he is thick like an oak tree. I mean, from top all the way to bottom. Strong, thick, front to back. You get one off the toe, and that's where it appeared to hit him. But for Mr. Hoover, not a big deal. He falls behind Fowler, 2-0. Coghlan next. 3-0. Taylor has not hit the ball out of the infield today. One delivery. The tying run will come to the plate after the 1-out walk to Dexter Fowler. The second game in a row that Hoover has now come into in this series, where the other night he's pitching with a 1-run lead. Today pitches with a 2-run lead and walks about it.
Well, it can be a recipe for disaster here, especially on a hot day, and it's hot. Wind blowing out, and some lefties coming up.
Well, it appears it's not going to be Chapman to bail him out tonight, because there is no sign of Araldis starting to get loose down in that bullpen. Reds try to win this series here in Chicago. There's a check swing, fooled badly was Coghlan on that off-speed offering from JJ, and it's 0-2. Breaking ball. Late decision, late swing. Foul ball, the result for Coghlan. Try to come in the back gate and missed it. Figures to be the action pitch in this at bat. Trying to execute a pitch on 2-2 and get the runner out, get the batter out, rather than going to 3-2, and lots of things might be going on, and that's nowhere near the strike zone. It was just 1-2 a minute ago.
Well, at the very least, Hoover might just want to throw to first base. Maybe he could just shorten up Fowler a little bit over there. Hard one with a 3-2 breaking ball right there. Where do you come to right here?
Struck him out. 94-mile-per-hour fastball up and in.
Good spot right there. Well, JJ's favorite fastball is that four-seamer, and he gets right above the hitting zone with it.
Well, it's a big at bat right here. Bryant, tremendous power, represents a tying run. He's 0 for 3 in a game. Straight up into the air. Does the wind take this goodbye? Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
enough to hit it hard on a day like today. And Chris Bryant, boy, that reminds me of the Dave Kingman home run here at Wrigley Field. Big, tall right-hander. You hang a breaking ball, you get it up in the jet stream. It just seems to go and go and go. Goodbye.
You know, though, Chris, it always comes back. And if you're Brian Price, he's forgotten more about this than the rest of us mortal men will ever know. Can you find me walks in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning? As this will be an infield hit for Rizzo. You find me walks in 7, 8, and 9, and you're just handing the other team an opportunity. Dexter Fowler walks in this inning with a 2-run lead with all the big guys coming up. It just can't happen. Bryant hits the ball in the seats. You're still ahead 1. Infielded by Rizzo. Here's Montero. And again, Raisel Iglesias, another spectacular outing where he will not get a win. Still sitting and watching and cheering his team on. Hoover has struggled for the second day in a row, or the second time in this series, in the 8th inning with a lead. During this run over the now 7 games where Raisel Iglesias has a 2-3 record, twice in the 7 games, a blown save behind him. To get it, inning over. 2-run home run by Bryant. We're tied at 4. We go to the 9th.
And it is Kathy. Kathy, thank you very much for that. And you can tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you, of course, by T-Mobile.
Looks like a Reds car, all-star game, built out of Lego.
A Lego car with a Reds logo on front.
Yeah.
KY Cats 2. Kathy, well, nice work.
KY Cats, it's got to be Kentucky Wildcats, right?
You know what? Maybe you ought to be the analyst.
Hey, it could be a local high school for her.
You're right.
Could be.
I imagine there's a few Wildcat high schools.
Yep. Bobcats, Bearcats, all kinds of different cats. The closer coming in here for the 9th inning. As Chris Bryant hits a 2-out, 2-run home run after a 1-out walk in front of him to tie the game. Diving play by Lostello, 1 out.
Kid kind of grows on you, doesn't he?
Sure does.
I mean, not the flashiest of players. He just seems to be one of those that kind of a Skip Schumacher type, you know? Built very much like Skip. Just a grind it out, get your uniform dirty type of player.
Ryan Lamar came on defensively. And he's batting in the number 9 spot.
You know, Bryant made it count because of when he did it to tie the game up, but he also makes it count when he hits them with runners on base. Of his 22 career home runs, only 8 solo shots for Bryant.
They're guys who just come up, man, and I mean, it's not luck. These kids, they're money guys, and they end up being those guys for a long time. Bryant's a money player.
Well, especially when you come up at the age that he has come up at age 23 and have the success that you have right away.
And it's how you build the reputation of something we were talking about last night. Being the best player on a bad team, is it harder than being the best player on a good team or playoff contending team? If we play in September and Bryant knocks in 2 runs all month and the Cubs falter at the end and don't get into playoffs, they'll be talking about that all winter long. And Bryant can't shake the reputation if that were to happen. If you're the best player on a crummy team, you knock in 3 runs in September, nobody cares. Little dribbler at the third baseline. And Rondon made a spectacular effort and nearly got the speedy Bourgeois.
I didn't think he even had a chance to make a throw. He comes in there and slides and then throws from his knees. And if that throw's on the money, he's got Bourgeois who can get down the line pretty quick.
Let's see if Jay Bruce can get that go-ahead run home. Chapman is ready in the 9th inning if the Reds can take a lead. And by the way, we've been talking so much about Raisel Iglesias, first Reds rookie since 1900 to collect double-digit strikeouts in 3 straight games. He's the first major league rookie since Hideo Nomo of the Dodgers burst onto the scene back in 1995. He had 4 consecutive games with 10 or more strikeouts. And the Reds would love to get Votto to the plate here in this inning. I mean, obviously they prefer to see Bruce just whack one of these seats or drive one of the gap right now. And he's got a good count in a very quiet series for Jay Bruce. He has 1 hit in the series. That was a double and a run scored on the Votto double in the game here last night. 0 for 4 today.
Well, kind of interesting here. Normally you do not see a middle of the at-bat visit by a pitching coach. Chris Bosio goes out on a 2-0 count. And it could be all about something that Rondon has, doing in his delivery, what they may have worked on in the bullpen a little bit. It could be just a wake-up call that might be as simple as, you see who's in at the plate, right? Okay, now look a little to your left. That's the on-deck circle. You see who's in the on-deck circle. The burning man. You don't want him through the plate.
Two and 0 on Jay Bruce. Right through the legs of Bryant. Wow. So Votto does get to bat. Bruce hit it right on the screws, but right at Bryant. Coming from a left-handed batter, that was probably the last thought in the world for Bryant.
Right through the wickets. Just didn't get the glove down.
So here comes Votto. Game on the line. Fastball is off the inside corner. Ball one to Joey Votto. See his career numbers against Rondon. They are outstanding. Votto this season with runners in scoring position and 2 outs is a .235 batter. 2-0. It's almost impossible to believe. Votto has 8 RBIs with 2 outs this entire season. All year. He only has 34 at-bats with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. In the air, left center field, and Votto delivers in the night. Oh, doctor! On a 2-0 count, he does not miss it. And after the error by Bryant, Votto makes him pay with a 3-run bomb. How about that? Votto has just had a monster series.
I mean, he's had a monster second half of this season. Having struck out 3 times in his previous 4 at-bats, he gets a pitch up and just puts a good part of the bat on it. And he knows immediately that is headed for the bleachers. Well, we were half kidding when we called him the Burning Man at the beginning of the game. But right now, who in baseball is more of a Burning Man than Joey Votto?
Nobody. Hanging with all your friends in the Nevada desert. The Burning Man. Wow. We'll let you take time off to go out there. We're not letting him leave to go out there. The way he's going right now. Jim Day will be catching up, I'm sure, with Joey after the game. Jim, of course, picking up a Reds player to chat with after wins here on Fox Sports Ohio as part of Reds Live. That's a 23rd career home run for Votto against the Cubs, which ties him with Ryan Braun for second among all active players. They trail only Albert Pujols, but of course he's now in the American League, so Votto and Braun basically in a neck-and-neck race ultimately should both stay in the Central for supremacy against the Cubs. And there's a base hit into right field by Brandon. His 3rd hit. Well, it was only just a moment ago. Bryant was rounding the bases, a 2-run home run which tied the game. But then Bryant goes from hero to potential GOAT by committing the error with 2 outs. Would have been the final out of the inning, enabling Votto to come to the plate, who proceeds to jump all over a 2-0 pitch and a 3-run lead. Strike 1 to Frazier. All of this started after the first 2 were retired on that little dribbler off the bat of Jason Bourgeois. Cubs getting a little dose of their own medicine, if you will, in this series. They have scored 9 2-out runs. That's in the last 2 days. 9 of their runs with 2 outs. Now the Reds with 2 outs get their 3-run blast by Votto. Brandon running, and it's fouled off and out of play. 2 on Todd Frazier.
Sudden has turned so quiet here at Wrigley Field. And they were bouncing off the seats here about 15 minutes ago. Popped up. Playable for Rizzo. So now Aroldis Chapman will get the ball as he'll try and nail down the 3-run lead, and the Reds get the 3-run lead thanks to the Burning Man, aptly named by Chris Welsh. Joey the home run. On Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs, and by your local Toyota dealer. Proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. We call it Reds Live. We get you ready to go 30 minutes before the start of every game right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Off day tomorrow for the Redlegs. And then open a homestand against the Brewers and the Pirates, which begins on, and then the Cardinals begins on Friday night. Matt Garza, who the Reds lit up the last time they saw him during this road trip. And Kivas Sampson will start it for the Reds against Milwaukee. 6:30 back on the home front. And here's Chapman looking for his 27th save in this his 29th try. Austin Jackson against Chapman. 2 balls and no strikes. 3-0. The walk really came back to hurt J.J. Hoover in that 8th inning. You don't want to give this Cub team the feeling of hope. Three and one to Jackson. Right field. Now Addison Russell the batter. Hoover is in line to get the win in this game, despite allowing the game-tying 2-run home run in the 8th inning. Naturally, Rondon, the pitcher of record, after giving up all 3 runs, unearned runs, but 3 runs nonetheless in the top of this ninth. About hit him 12-6, but the power of the long ball kept the Cubs in this game. And then the long ball for the Reds from Votto in the 9th inning propels them 3 runs in front, 1 on, none out. We're in the bottom of the 9th, and it looked like he went 2-2 on Russell. to second base.
He really cut that one loose. That was the fastest pitch of the inning so far for Chapman at 1-on-1. Looks like he just tried to hump up a little bit and overthrew it.
Chapman gave up a run here, picking up the save, the opening game of this series. And he strikes out Russell for the first out. That's when he gave up that home run, you may remember, to Addison Russell. Chris Denorfia, the one-time Red, will come to the plate. They have the left-handed batting La Stella due up next. And remember, he was a guy that had a couple of really good swings against Chapman the other night, although now they're calling him back into the dugout, and they have Javier Baez, who just came up from AAA Iowa and started the game at second base, ended the game at shortstop last night. Fastball is high. A ball and a strike on Chris Denorfia. 2 home runs, 15 runs batted in. One delivery. Nowhere near the strike zone. Balls and a strike. Denorfia looked like a 3-1 slider.
Yeah, which really makes you scratch your head a little bit if you're Brian Price, especially trying to figure out what's going through Aroldis Chapman's mind. Now, we've seen Brian go out there in situations when Chapman is on the mound. This time it'll be Jeff Pico.
Tell you what, this Cub team just never lets up coming at you. I mean, we've seen every game in this series. The Reds get a lead, they come back. Reds get a lead, they come back. They blew it open in the 9th inning to win the series opener. They blew 3 leads in a game last night.
Well, you kicked the door wide open for them when you walk late in the ball game.
No doubt about it. I'm telling you, the more you watch baseball, you get into 2-run games. In the 8th and 9th innings, you start seeing a walk somewhere, something's bad about to happen. And here's Javier Baez with a count of 1-0. And Chapman can't find a strike zone. Two and 0 to Baez. Well, you knew that was coming.
He was getting the gas, and Baez was going to let it rip no matter where that pitch was in the strike zone. Four straight batter. Chapman is faced and gone to 3 balls in the count. 2 of the prior 3 have reached base on a single and a walk.
Well, Baez doesn't realize he doesn't have to swing that hard. Chapman is supplying plenty of the energy.
Oh, okay.
Boy, that used to be dangerous.
3-2 pitch coming. That is a fair ball. Frazier for 1, and they'll just stick in his pocket. That's a second out of the inning. Nice play by Todd, nearly losing his footing. Able to keep his strength and balance and turn the corner after making the pick. Just ahead of the sliding Austin Jackson, and here comes Dexter Fowler. Fowler is a switch hitter. He is a much better hitter from this side to right side. 80 points better. 319 the average right-handed, 239 left. He has 3 home runs and 113 at bats from the right side. Two on, 2 out. Reds lead by 3, bottom of the 9th. 101 miles per hour on that fastball. And it's 0-2.
Maybe the best fastball from start to finish that Chapman has thrown this inning.
Now Chapman tries to put him away. They appeal, no. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Fowler. And that'll do it. Chapman, after a shaky beginning to this 9th inning, takes care of the final 2. A pair of strikeouts, no runs, a hit, 2 left. And the Reds, for the first time since the final week of July, win a series.
Hard to believe, but it's true.
Hoover gets a win. Chapman the save. Votto quiet all day long. He had a single in his first 4 at-bats, 3 strikeouts. But money time, big moment time, 2 on. In a tie game in the 9th inning, Votto blasts one to the bleachers in left center field, and the Reds win it 7-4. One more look at Votto's bomb. He's going to come by and we hope hang out with Jim Day. We'll see. Soon as he hit it, he knew it was gone. Reds win, taking 2 out of 3 against the Cubs.